Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Welcome to Dig on America, where we speak truth to power. Every week, we give you the dig on how American history, policies, and media created the social and political issues we face today. DOA is independent media supported by listeners.
All right.
Tim was nice enough to do the dig this week. What did you have to tell us who your 8th grade social studies teacher was, though? So, Tim, you have the floor. Let's give Tim center stage here for today's dig.
All right. So, was it 8th grade?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm trying to remember his name.
Just make it up. We won't know the difference.
Mr.
Right.
Bird.
Mr. Bird. My 8th grade my 8th grade economics teacher, Mr. Bird.
Mr. Bird.
Mr. Bird.
Told me a lot of crazy shit about economics. But let me tell you, it's not as crazy as all the birds or cameras.
Impossible.
But he gave us all a lesson about inflation. Now, I know what you're all going to ask is, Tim, what is inflation? The answer to that.
Tim.
What?
What is inflation?
Inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time. More precisely, and I know we probably should have had discussions with Sweet about this. So Sweet, if you're watching, I'm sorry.
He's feeding his bird.
Yeah. When the price of something increases and causes you to spend more money on it, therefore it decreases the value of the money. That is generally what inflation is.
Can you skip to the part where it's Joe Biden's fault?
Joe Biden has absolutely no control over it. But okay. Man, that fucking eagle hates Trump.
This is great. This is my favorite show ever.
So, before we get to more about inflation, we got to go over a few basic economic principles here. The first one is the idea of a fiat currency. A fiat currency is paper money or coin with face values backed by a government or institution. For example, the money we use. It's fake. We use fake money. The government just prints as much of it as they want, and they don't really care.
Yep.
We also have to go a little bit through the history of inflation. Now, inflation as an economic principle has been around forever, going all the way back to the Song dynasty of China. They introduced a paper currency to represent how much wealth the dynasty had. And during the Mongol invasion, the dynasty spent a lot of money on war because they're trying to fight the Mongols.
I'd just like to point out that birds sing songs. But anyway.
Stop it.
That's true.
We have to drop the bird. Leave the birds at the door.
The Yuan dynasty, the following dynasty after the Song dynasty, attempted to fix this war cost problem by printing more money, which led to hyperinflation and the complete devaluing of their currency. So by the Ming dynasty, they had to go back to silver coins and actual wealth as currency instead of the fiat currency. There was also something called the price revolution, which took place in Western Europe in the 15th century and led all the way to the first half of the 17th century. It was a major inflationary cycle where prices rise sixfold in over 150 years. This is attributed to the influx of gold and silver as the new standard for currency, and persisted and was exacerbated by the Black Death or the plague. It was part of the economic collapse of the Black Plague, basically, because there were so few workers and everything cost so much that it caused a sort of hyperinflation. And the best example of hyperinflation, which is inflation that just goes through the roof, and we'll talk about varying levels of inflation, but the best example of hyperinflation is Germany post-World War where after the Treaty of Paris, the Allied nations decided to punish Germany by making them pay for all the war costs and the repair costs, and the Germans decided that the only way to pay for this was to print as much money as they possibly could. And once again, they were using a fiat currency, which only represented wealth. It wasn't actual wealth. So by the end of their money printing, the German mark was worth nothing. It was like 100,000 marks for a loaf of bread or something like that. And they ended up
socialists.
They ended up using it for kindling. That was what they used their money for at the end, to warm their homes. So I know that your next question is going to be, what causes inflation?
Democrats.
Nope.
Obviously. Joe Biden.
Nope. Anyone else want to take a crack at this?
Jalen Rose's hairline.
Close. Close.
Probably birds. Yeah, probably birds. Birds have a lot of upkeep costs.
So one of them we already talked about, and it's printing money. Printing money causes inflation, but not as much as people might think it does. Recently, during the first real economic crisis of the COVID pandemic, the U.S. government, the Federal Reserve, printed about $500 billion just to pump into the economy, and it caused inflation, but it was only like 0.5%. The normal rate of inflation, the rate of inflation that the Federal Reserve and all reserve banks around the world are looking for, is about 2% a year. Currently, the rate of inflation is 8% for, I think it was April of 2022. And it's the highest rate of inflation in 40 years.
That makes me very happy.
Now, a lot of people say that the stimulus packages cause a lot of inflation, and they only account for about 0.5 point of inflation, as I've already said. The big drivers of inflation right now are the war in Ukraine and the ongoing global pandemic, which has caused a huge supply crisis. And that brings us to the next cause of inflation, supply and demand. So the way supply and demand works is, if you have a limited supply and demand is high, it will cause prices to rise, and that is inflation. If you have high supply and low demand, it causes prices to go down, which is known as deflation, which the government considers bad. And let's see.
I mean, they wouldn't be able to print money like they want to.
Well, I mean, we'll get to the printing money and the government not really caring about it.
Did you look into the fact that we stopped using a lot of our, we obviously, as our economy is based on, tangible goods as well as services, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of live in a service-based economy, but did you pull up anything as far as because the service-based economy part really kind of stopped, people stopped doing massages and getting their hair done and, stuff like that, going to the movies, even, to a degree, and instead of that, started doing things like home improvements and, buying goods on, groceries and stuff like that. Did you look at all at as how that has impacted this?
So the basic principle behind the way inflation works in the economy in general is that the more money is out there in the economy, the higher inflation will be. So if people are spending money on goods and services, that means demand is increased. And one of the supposed causes of inflation is actually low unemployment. Because if more people are out there having jobs, and since there aren't that many people out of the workforce, the people in the workforce can demand more money for their jobs. So it creates a thing where they're putting more money into the economy because they have more spending power, and the companies can't keep up with demand. And it would be the same with the service industry. The more people buy things, the more value those things have, and the higher it could push inflation. Now, this is just an economic theory, and it only accounts for like 1% of inflation. But it is one of those things that people always bring up, is that like high unemployment or low unemployment can drive inflation in different ways. And in the service sector, it's not that they have like tangible goods, like you're saying, like massages or going to the movies or stuff like that. But if there's a lot more people that want to go to the movies, you can raise your prices for tickets. And that devalues the money those people are spending.
Yeah.
You're creating a demand situation where everyone wants to go to the movies. Let's say you have like 20 seats and 100 people want to go see a movie at the same time. Well, you can demand a lot more for your tickets.
All Blart 4.
Exactly.
All the people are lining up for it.
Now we know why we get so many bad sequels.
The next cause of inflation, and everyone's going to love this one: excess corporate profits.
Oh, you don't say.
I don't know if that's ever been a thing. They barely are able to keep a salary.
These guys are barely scraping by.
Yeah, I mean, they had to give all their employees like a 7% raise last year. I mean, they couldn't possibly have. Oh, wait a minute. Almost every single big box company reported record profits in 2020 and 2021.
Have you seen those oil company profits?
Yeah,
They're
not just oil, home improvement.
I'm just saying.
Walmart, Target, all of them.
I mean, let the oil companies tell it. They can't
Netflix.
produce any gas and they can't produce any oil because the president is stymieing their efforts to produce oil, and they're not making any money.
Right.
Look,
no, it's because of
look
the
at their
Keystone
Q1
XL.
profit. This is just Q1.
I'm
Billions
sorry.
of dollars.
I'm sorry, Garcon. I don't need any more champagne. Listen, I'm also an oil billionaire, and
I've got a yard.
The reception on my yacht is fucking shitty.
Putrid.
I'm suffering while you guys are just chucking it up.
I've got
just
to watch
laughing.
basic cable.
You know, it's been. I have to wait several seconds for my Netflix movies to like pop up on screen for me.
Yeah.
I'm hurting.
And you
right
wouldn't be
now.
hurting as much if you didn't have to pay Garcon $27 an hour instead of 26.
If you think Garcon is getting that much, then you don't know anything about me.
So this goes hand in hand with two other causes of inflation, and they're all sort of a cycle together, which is monopolies and the corporate need for growth. So corporations have just a genuine urge to grow. It's what they do for their stockholders. It's how they make money. They have to have a certain percentage of growth every year. Otherwise, they suck to them, I guess.
Yes.
But this causes them to raise prices, because if they are stuck on the amount of goods they sell, they need to raise the price to make the growth happen.
Right.
Even if they're selling fewer products, the raising of their prices will make more than what they're losing.
Right.
And
so they basically do a market analysis there
Yeah.
and say, okay, if we raise our prices by 6%, we'll lose 1% of our customers, but we'll still make 4% year over year.
Exactly. And it's what the oil companies are doing. They raise their prices to match the cost of oil.
No, that was Joe
raising
Biden. Joe Biden made the prices go up.
Joe did that.
Yeah.
I did that.
How
So
do we
Tim,
know it wasn't the birds?
We
so
don't.
Tim, if you're gonna come on here and do the dig, don't just fucking lie to cover for Biden.
Yeah.
Like, be honest. Come on.
You know, I've told so many people this, is that, man, the American president doesn't really have any say in this.
No, that I saw a sticker on the gas pump and it said the opposite, big guy. So,
Well,
It's not a
listen,
gospel.
if you listen to stickers, you must think that birds aren't real. I'm just saying.
Look, I can prove to you right now that inflation is Biden's fault.
All right.
Because we have inflation all over the entire world. So therefore, it must be Biden's fault.
And
Other countries have inflation.
have populated the earth, so
Birds
interesting.
everywhere. Every continent, you got a bird.
You know, that brings me to my next cause of inflation. It is our
socialism.
broken supply chain. So broken.
It's fine.
Venezuela.
The just-in-time supply chain, as it's known.
Yeah, JIT.
Is so very broken at the moment.
It is.
Y'all remember that fucking tanker that got caught in the Suez Canal?
That was hilarious.
That is part of the cause of this current inflation.
the one boat.
Yes. The one boat that
You know how
blocked the
big those
Suez
things
Canal.
are, though?
Yeah.
Not one boat just ruining it. One bird, one boat. What else?
All
What
I need
else?
is one mic.
One man, one woman, one marriage.
What else?
Big
What else?
boat.
Tim, tell us all the ways.
And you know, but I don't believe if that boat was stuck, because that would mean that, you know, it was stuck because the water levels receded due to climate change, and we know climate change is a hoax. So this has got to be a cover up. Tell us about the cover up.
I think maybe the captain just smoked the joint before he took the boat out for a spin, and he made a left when he was supposed to make a right. And what do you know?
Therefore, we should make marijuana illegal.
Let me just say right now, as a marijuana advocate, ain't no way in hell that motherfucker is turning the wheel when he's supposed to be keeping the wheel straight. He'll miss a turn. He's not gonna turn extra. That don't even sound like me.
Do you know his Google Nest GPS was a little bit late? It was like turn here. He was like, oh shoot, right
Did you say
here.
Nest? Did you say Nest?
She did.
She did say Nest.
His GPS Nest told him to turn wrong. The birds ruined the communication. He got the signal late. Got turned around. Next thing you know, boom, supply chain. Boom, inflation. Boom, Joe Biden. It's all connected.
Boom, bird flu just broke out in March.
Right.
And we got one more big cause of inflation here, and this is after some inflation has already happened. So let's say there's a little bit of irregular inflation because of a supply chain disruption, because maybe there was a global pandemic. Well, if you see that there's not that much toilet paper in the supermarket, what are you going to do? Fucking buy it all.
Hell yeah.
You gotta hoard it for yourself.
That's not what I was gonna
your
say.
starfish means more than others.
You start buying all the toilet paper you can find. It's called panic buying, and it creates a bigger supply chain shortage. So you're just making the cycle worse.
That's not true, because I talked to the manager. He goes to my church, and he let me back my F-150 to the rear gate. They rang me out up front, but then I drove around the back.
Tim, this can't be true. Why do we have a shortage on PlayStation 5s then?
Because there's a shortage of parts from China, specifically the semiconductors that go together to make your PlayStation.
What does that have to do with toilet paper, Tim?
Why are you changing the subject, Tim?
Semiconductors are made out of toilet paper.
I knew it.
Yes.
I knew it.
And all the sugar mamas knew that these young whippersnappers, these young Thundercats was gonna need some PlayStation 4.
Ooh, you got a strong back, baby. You like that PS5?
She's like, do you want this PS5 or what?
Go ahead, look on Facebook. You ain't gonna find one for less than $1,000. I know you ain't got it.
I'm gonna let this Ben Gay set in, and then we're gonna get to work on this.
But another little piece of this that people don't. Another little piece of this that people don't think about is
not a Newport. She had a cool.
No. She had a Capri.
Cool 100.
She had a Capri 120 sitting on a nightstand. See that
Virginia
so
Slims.
Yeah, Virginia Slims.
What else do you
120s.
What else do you get when you have shortages on things like PlayStation 5s, or like this happens right now? There's a pop that I really like. It's A&W cream soda zero. It's awesome.
Don't even start Haas, because I already see.
No, he's an idiot. We already know. When we get canceled, we know why we're gonna get canceled. Okay, but like you got PS5s, you had toilet paper, you have my A&W zero cream soda, you have all these different a lot of different items that people want and they can't find. guess where you can buy them? Guess where you can buy a $35 12-pack of A&W Cream Soda Zero?
Amazon
or eBay.
Yeah.
You know, same with PlayStation 5s. What they're selling PlayStation 5s for $900, $1,000.
Yep.
And this adds to inflation.
Yeah. I will mention one other thing.
Venezuela.
Yeah, Venezuela. And this is related to Venezuela. One other thing, economic sanctions on other countries. Now, I know your Trump diehards will say, "Oh, but China's paying for that, or Venezuela's paying for that."
Mexico's paying for that wall.
But the Chinese and Venezuelan producers are passing the cost on to us, the consumer.
Pass the savings on to you
by charging more to deliver their stuff to the ports.
Gotcha, bitch. What's up?
So that Trump caused inflation. Just putting that out there.
All you Iowa fucking farmers out there, they're like, he's standing up with me. And the first thing he did was tariff the shit out of your stuff.
Yeah, guess what? They got their soybeans from somewhere else.
Yep, they went other places, and now they'll never go back to you.
Fuck your avocados.
and then you have another piece where people, like, you have some industries where there's not a shortage. Like, for example, did we somehow get less trees? But yet we have a lumber shortage. Now, yes, there was a boom for housing, but it wasn't more than what could be supplied by the amount of trees that are farmed in the Pacific Northwest. But these companies say, hey, every other company is raising their prices.
Yeah.
We might as well raise ours too.
The corporate profit motive.
So they create their own shortages.
Yeah.
And blame it on overpaying their workers. Oh, I can't find workers.
You know what they blame?
Nobody wants to work.
They blame the prices on like other things, but it's you have an actual shortage of people willing to pay that.
Yeah.
That's what your shortage is. You have a shortage of suckers who are just about to give you fucking $35 for a 12-pack. Better calm your little happy ass down. A&W, which is a 7-Up product, not to bring it back up to that.
You don't start either, Mikey.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but honestly, this isn't saying that's not A&W's fault. A&W's not selling that. It's being sold by resellers.
Yeah.
I know. I was just trying to make a dig at Anna.
Well, and a really good example of that is concert tickets or any sort of venue tickets. You get the tickets that go on sale, and then a third-party dealer will buy them all up, resell them at a markup, inflating the price of the tickets way more than they should be. And it creates a demand because you're like, oh my God, this Justin Bieber ticket's like $500 or whatever.
I knew you were going to say Justin Bieber. I knew that.
But that actually happened to me. I went to go see a wrestling show last February, and the original price of my ticket was like $45. I ended up paying $70 for it, plus service charges from the third-party dealer.
Ticketmaster.
Just curiously, when you say last February, do you mean
February
2022?
Yeah,
or 22? The tangent. When I say last Monday, I'm not talking about 2 days ago. I'm talking about the last one before that. Is that just me? Am I saying it wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, because when I say last February, I mean the last February that happened.
Yeah, I always think that I would say in February I did, and last February I did X, but maybe my brain just thinks of it wrong. But anyway, like I said, tangent. But
all right, so now we know what inflation is and why inflation is. Now, your next question is going to be
where?
Everywhere. I know your next question is going to be, hey, Tim, how do we fix this?
Why is Gamora?
Hey, Tim. How do we fix this?
So there are 3 ways that countries or institutions try to fix inflation.
Vote Republican.
That's my favorite line from that movie. Fuck you, Dutch.
Get rid of all the socialists. That's number 1.
Well, the first one is actually socialism. So the first way to try to curb inflation is what's known as price fixing, where you take a commodity or a product and the government would try to set a price that you can't go above to sell it. This is very difficult because the government has to create an entire bureaucracy to control the price of this. Like, let's say that Joe Biden wanted to control the price of oil. Well, he would have to find a way to tell all the oil companies to say, hey, listen, the U.S. government's is going to buy the oil at a certain price, and that's it. But then he has to worry about like a black market being created for oil, where they sell it around the U.S. government to whoever for whatever price. It's very difficult to do price fixing on large commodities, and in such a large country. Like if we were a smaller country, it might be easier, but it's very difficult to do that. Number 2 is what's known as fiscal policy, which is what the United States Federal Reserve does. Now, fiscal policy is the government taxing and spending money, essentially. They take money out of the economy by taxing, and then they spend it on programs to help curb inflation. Now, this...
Socialism.
Yeah, socialism. This is done by raising interest rates. This is done by raising taxes, and then spending it on social programs to help ease inflation, more food stamps, stuff like that.
Hold on, Ben Shapiro here. So, Tim, what you are saying here, what you are saying is that if we...
How did he sneak in here? He's so small.
If we take all of the taxes off, if we just reduce and eliminate all taxes right now, then we will effectively end inflation tomorrow.
If we raise taxes all the way and we take all the money out of the economy?
If you cancel taxes, why would we ever, as conservatives, want to raise taxes? We want to make sure the taxes are as low as humanly possible. So we propose that you therefore lower all taxes to 0, and then inflation will end.
Well, no, inflation will just go up.
But that can't be right, because I am a conservative and I say taxes must be low.
If you get rid of all taxes, inflation will go through the roof.
But Nancy Pelosi.
Why?
Because there's more money in the economy. There's more people spending, and then companies can't keep up with that sort of production. So they have to raise the price of their goods so that fewer people are buying them. And it just creates this inflation cycle.
Now, wait a minute. It almost sounds like you're talking about like these businesses, like they're almost designed to maximize profits.
That is correct.
I don't know, man. The bird stuff I was kind of like on board with, but I don't think companies would do that. I think companies are going to do right by their employees.
They're naturally altruistic.
They're going to pass that on.
Speaking of birds,
they're going to pass. Fuck Wayne. I'm talking, Dick.
No. But he's watching us in the gym. How did he know we were at the gym?
He said that 17 minutes ago, and you interrupted me for that 17-minute-old fucking...
Before 17 minutes.
No, he has not lasted 17 minutes in anything in his life. Love you, Wayne. See you tomorrow.
So,
I forgot my point. Go ahead. Damn it.
The other way that the government uses fiscal policy to control inflation is by issuing bonds.
Bombs?
This is bonds. BOND.
Terms of service. Stop it.
The government issues like 10, 15, and 30-year bonds.
Yep.
That
James Bond, Gold Bond.
Yeah. You pay like $50 for United States bond. I used to have them back in the day.
Word is bond.
And this is a way for the government to take money out of the economy and then give it back to you in 10 to 30 years, however long that is.
Now, why would I give that to the government? Am I going to get something in return? Like, what's up with that?
You get interest. You get interest on your bond.
How much?
Lower than inflation is.
Yeah, they try to give 3 to 4% on the bonds, depending on how the market is.
3 to 4%? For 30 years?
Yeah, but it's 3 to 4% over 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Still, wait. You said it like it was different, but that sounds the same to me.
So $100 bond today in 30 years is worth 103, or 177, which
yeah,
would be
it's not,
compounded.
it's not compound interest, it's regular interest.
Yeah.
Oh,
it'd
get
be-
the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
a whole
it's not compound, bro.
So it's worth
Yeah.
103.
Compound.
Okay.
So I give y'all $100 bill, and then I gotta wait 30 years. You talking about something? And here's
If you,
your change,
I believe
sir.
if you keep it,
What the fuck is this?
if you keep it after the bond matures, then the interest compounds because you're keeping it longer than the government expects you to.
So these motherfuckers literally talking about something. Let me hold $100.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm gonna give you 100 and some change back.
I got you when I get paid.
I got you
next.
I'm good for it. You know I'm good for it.
Look, you know I'm good for it.
Yeah.
I ain't buying it.
But
Fuck that.
But the Fed's been raising the interest rates.
On
So
the
you're
bonds?
getting, yes. So you're getting more for the bonds than you were before. You're getting, I think it's a full % more than you were last year.
Oh,
5%. Wow.
couple more
Thanks.
percent. You won't have to break
Thank
the
you,
5.
Mr. Mortimer.
Let me pause real quick here for 1 second. I'm just curious. Anna,
I'm curious.
is there any legal aspect of this that has caught your attention, or is it all pretty much just political and economic bullcrap? Are we missing anything in this from a legal perspective that
Not that I can think of. I mean,
okay.
this is all pretty much like the Fed and all the people we vote for to set this stuff. So there's really no law to it. It's all Congress has the power of the purse.
It's magic.
When in doubt, ask the sharpest mind.
So we got
anyway.
I was coloring in the corner. What was the question?
So there's one more way the governments can use to control inflation, and it's called modern monetary
genocide.
theory.
Stop
No.
it. Terms of service.
Terms of service.
Allegedly.
Thank you,
Or
something.
so modern monetary theory suggests that a government or institution can print as much money as it wants, and it's not going to hurt the overall economy. This is a relatively new and untested theory. The US government has been testing this, especially with the recent COVID pandemic. Remember, I said they put $500 billion into the economy as part of a stimulus package, and it only accounted for 0.5 point of inflation. So they're pretty sure that they could print as much money as they want and only have limited effects on inflation. And by printing all of this money, they're going to cause deflation because the currencies are going to be worth less. And people are going to be flush with cash.
Hell yeah.
And,
tell me more.
And the companies are going to be flush with cash too. And the government can spend as much as it wants, which is good for the economy.
So we're just gonna be all at the strip club, just like going buck wild,
under modern monetary theory, they can spend as much as they want. Companies can meet their growth. People can have money, but aren't those all the things that you said led to inflation in the first place? So why are we at the beginning?
Because economics is made up.
Okay. Just like the camera birds. So it's all a lie.
We're going all the way around.
Living in a simulation.
We've gone full circle.
It sounds to me like you're saying that if we just built the wall to keep out the Mexicans, we'd be fine.
I'm not going to
Mexicans as a whole, I have no beef. That was Jason Dutch.
So can I also ask another question, Tim? Is there no
sarcasm dripping with sarcasm?
Test these theories in some type of closed economic system without just testing it on us and seeing hopefully we don't have another pandemic or global climate emergency or supply chain shortage or anything else that might fuck us?
Careful, don't give the white people an idea. They'll try it in some third world country. They'll put it into place in Africa.
They're writing all this shit down right now.
Yeah, like, let's do this in Sudan. Let's see what happens.
Here is the literal definition of modern monetary theory. It's a macroeconomic framework that says monetary sovereign countries like the US, UK, Japan, and Canada, which spend and tax and borrow in a fiat currency, that have full control are not operationally constrained by revenues when it comes to federal government spending, which means the government can spend as much as they want. They're not going to cause inflation. They can print all the money they want, and it's not going to mean a damn thing.
How is this possible? The first
wanna
two
go home.
points you said were when y'all print all the money,
Yes.
it causes inflation. How is this possible?
Yes. It's just someone came up with it one day and they're like, let's
Why
try
do we
this.
trust this guy who came up, or woman, whomever came up with modern monetary theory? Like, what?
This
why
is
do we
definitely a guy's idea.
Yeah, why do we trust you, Tim? Because you came up with it.
I'm just like, how old is
So-
this theory?
It's very new.
So
It's-
we don't even know. So it's literally some people in a room just guessing, and we just supposed to
Yeah.
believe we can print all the money we want, even though on page 1 we not supposed to do that.
So yeah, and the critics of it say that it does not address the opportunity costs and the distribution consequences of the monetization of deficits by central banks. Basically meaning that it doesn't address like the actual devaluation of currency when it comes to printing all that money.
Which was inflation in the first place, like how we got there, right?
Right.
This is dumb. I'm so sorry.
This is people saying, well, the stuff we're doing isn't working, so let's try the opposite.
So in other words, I can get skinny by continuing to eat more.
Yes.
But just
But
eat
only-
Especially
lava.
Twinkie cream. Just eat the Twinkie cream.
That's
Just
actually
just eat the
keto, so
cream.
that does work. So it would be keto for
That's sugar. You can't have sugar on
Economy.
keto.
that's correct. Yeah, there is sugar in there, but if you took the sugar out,
I was about to say that's the opposite of keto.
if I just ate the fat,
Oh.
Is that
So
possible?
you got the Twinkies that just have lard in the middle.
zero
That's
sugar
protein.
Twinkies,
It's
The
kind of-
20 grams of protein Twinkies.
right?
So
It's-
Tim, so we're just test dummies at this point because we just guessing. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
thing that you said, and I was listening to the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
You lost me when we started doing the things that we said that we did not want to do because those very things cause inflation.
Mm-hmm. No,
Sounds about
that's the current theory, and that's what the Fed tried on us.
Is it working?
No.
Look outside.
No. Yeah, look outside.
Keep
Bunch
trying.
of
It'll-
gas.
So
Bunch of
how-
pigeon
so how do we
cameras
get
from my
out of
eye.
this? You just gotta wait for people to like die, so it's less people spending money. Like,
All
what
right,
do we
so there is
And
one...
wait, Joe Biden controls the Fed, right? So this is his fault.
Oh yeah, for sure. This one is his fault.
do? Okay.
No,
So what-
it's Janet Yellen, whoever is in
Yeah,
control.
he
of the
doesn't
Fed.
control the
Yeah.
Fed. Yeah.
Okay, so I lied. There's actually one other way that we can fix inflation, and it's actually all the socialists are going to love this stuff. Invest in things like elder care and child care.
No.
Where they're killing all the kids.
No, we
I
can't.
don't know if I
Yeah,
want
we
to put
can't.
my investment there.
Things that will help people who are lazy and don't want to work. No, thank you.
There is
Uh,
nothing lazier than a child or an old person.
Right, exactly.
Invest in
Or a sick
universal.
person.
Invest in universal health care.
Nah, it's
Well,
socialism.
Okay, what's next?
Increase
Yeah,
the
I
labor
thought I could
market.
keep my doctor, he said.
Increase the labor market. Didn't we
Yeah.
do that already?
No, like actually, like make a labor market that is sustainable.
No, you're right.
We're
We
not
should
gonna do
start-
that either. So what's
No,
next?
No, we should start doing that. Give the kids a shovel at 12. Hear me out.
Oh yeah,
They can do it. They have very flexible joints. They can get in
and
small
small
places.
hands.
They can get
And-
right
yeah.
in that machinery.
And here's the favorite part for all your Bernie bros: tax the wealthy.
Well, we should have started with that.
That one I'm not. That's
Well,
not.
what
that
about
great.
corporate growth?
I'm in.
Okay, so basically, we just have to ride this out. Like, is there a way?
So the theory on this current inflation bubble is that it will smooth itself out eventually, but two things have to happen. Either the supply chain needs to unfuck itself, or Russia needs to stop its war in Ukraine. One of those two things has to happen,
Or both.
or both. But if one of those things happens, then inflation will go down.
And the supply chain will work itself out. But see, like here is a piece of this that wasn't discussed. Most companies enter into supply contracts, right? So when you enter into a supply contract, well, I'll just make up a pretend example here using real companies. I'm not saying this is real, but let's say that Nike, which of course is part of the deep state. Let's say Nike gets their shoelaces from Joe's shoelace manufacturer, right?
Damn that.
And
Joe.
they get all of their wool from Haas's uncle, where he goes to shear the sheep, right? So Haas's uncle has a contract with Joe's wool company, with Joe's textile company, and he supplies them exclusively, or at least under that contract, no less than like X percent, say 85% of the supply will come from them, and for that they get a certain price, because you have buy contracts in place with places for when you buy more from as a supply house, you give your customers who buy more from you lower prices than you would give someone off the streets. Okay. So that works the opposite way as well. So if Haas's uncle has a contract with Joe's shoelace company, and Joe's shoelace company also has a contract with Nike, what happens when Joe's sheep company, all the sheep get COVID because they forgot to wear their mask, and
sheep are really like that.
Yeah, and exactly. And now there's a shortage there. Nike doesn't have in place another supplier to back up where they get their shoelaces from. So therefore, you either have two choices: make shoes without shoelaces,
which are the best shoes,
or you have Velcro, or you have
those are called sandals,
right? Or you have less shoes that are available, right? As Nike scrambles away and says, "Hey, Joe's shoelace company, you need to get us some shoelaces to fulfill these orders that we have contracts for." So somebody has to go somewhere else to get something, and they don't have these in place because they have these contracts in place. And this happens in every single industry. For example, if Home Depot and it competes with Lowe's, and Home Depot gets all of their saw blades from Ryobi, and Lowe's gets all of their saw blades from, say,
Milwaukee,
right? Then, and there's a problem at the Ryobi factory. Like we see this with the
baby formula
right now, right? Because what was it, Similac, who had a recall. So the people who need the saw blades or the baby formula still need that. So they're going to go to the other store because they can't get it from the person that they used to get it from, which then causes us a shortage of that other product. Because instead of having two major brands, you now have one major brand supplying the entire marketplace.
Actually, Dutch, you may have stumbled on the perfect illustration of inflation. The baby formula is perfect because if one, I think there's only 3 or 4 baby formula plants in the United States.
Monopolies.
There's only 3 or 4 for the entire country. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Similac has a recall because it could be for contamination. Someone can lose a fucking glove. A fucking glove lost on the line is like 100,000 canisters in the garbage. Not just we have to recheck and research it. This is babies and this is food. Mm-hmm. Like this is what you're giving an infant. It has to be perfect.
Right.
Garbage. So now there's 100,000 canisters. That's 100,000 babies that didn't get that canister that day.
Right.
Now you're behind. And now you have to catch up. So when you're the person who just needs to buy the bottle, you just need to buy the canister of formula, you're the person feeling the effect of that inflation. You're the person feeling the effects of that supply chain breakup. And it's not until it's babies, it's not until it's your own family member that's get gunned down by violence, or your family member gets sick from COVID and is hurt. It's never until it's right in your fucking face. And if you have problems with inflation and the way that our supply chain is set up, the way that people are controlling and manipulating the markets, baby formula will let you know exactly where you stand as a consumer here. Yeah. Because if you have a baby, fuck you. I shut the fucking place down. You can't get any more. Oh, what's that? Your kid's got allergies? Your kid's intolerant to certain kinds of things? Oh, well, get on the internet and buy for $1,200.
Get a better job. Yeah, never
get
thought
a
of
better
that.
job and get some more. Go get some more.
So you've got this issue with, and I'm not an economist, but like when it comes to supply chain stuff, I know about this stuff because I work in supply chain. Okay. So you have like, we get stuff from China because we have opportunity costs. It's better for us as a country, and it's better for opportunity costs for us to get certain things from China. If you don't know what that means, there's good videos online. It's the whole shoes versus airplanes scenario that they talk to you about in Economics 101, right? Where, you can either produce one airplane and 500 pairs of shoes, but you're better off if you produce 100 airplanes and get those shoes, the 5,000 pairs of shoes you need from elsewhere, right? This is opportunity cost. So you find places that have a better ability to make certain things, and you get things from those places. You have so much that we get from China and from India and other places that like let's look at like ice cream or any like the baby formula, whatever. You may be perfectly fine with milk, strawberries, vanilla flavoring, chocolate flavoring, all that type of stuff. But the little gasket that you need for your cooling system that keeps the building cold, you're running out of them. You don't have any left. So your maintenance manager goes into the back room to grab that little gasket that is an integral piece of this machinery. There's none left. He calls his supplier, says, hey, I need 1,000 of these gaskets. Guess what? It's stuck on a boat.
Because the high men turn left.
Right. It's stuck on a boat in Long Beach.
Thanks a lot, Snoop Dogg.
We can't get it. Okay. So then all of the ice cream that they have at, say, the Edie's factory is no longer edible because the building got too warm. But people are still going to buy ice cream because it's summer. So they go buy Blue Bunny or Breyers or whatever because there's no dryers. And it could come down to like one tiny little piece that is that you wouldn't even think is relevant to the issue. If that makes any sense.
The automakers are blaming the graphics card shortage on like the delay in cars and the price of cars.
On semiconductors.
Yeah, it's the graphics cards for their computers.
Yeah.
Like that part of it that was made over in like in Taiwan and China. So it's like I don't want to compete with Ford. I just wanted to build the computer. But we both had the same fucking problem. So even if I was fucking Ford, I couldn't have even gotten the stuff that I wanted.
Well, if you think back to the early stages of the pandemic,
Ugh.
I know. You remember when no one was driving and the price of fuel actually the price of gas in the stock market went negative for a day. It was negative like $33. There was a complete collapse in the price of oil and gasoline. And the producers realized, hey, there's too much supply in the world. Energy usage was cut 30% worldwide because of the pandemic. So they cut production, refineries shut down. And later on, when everyone started using fuel again, when people started driving again and the highways got jammed with cars, they never raised production. And OPEC was like, sorry guys, you made gas too cheap. We had to cut production. We're not ramping up again. That's not happening. And the same thing happened with Russia, and the same thing happened with American oil producers. Now, American oil producers started ramping up production again, but the problem on the supply side is the refineries. There are now not enough refineries to refine the amount of oil needed to produce gasoline, which is why there's a lag in the price of gasoline.
Yeah, and they sold off
so high.
And Shell, Chevron, etc., all sold off all their reserves.
Yeah. So even
they need money, Dutch.
The United States could put as much of its strategic petroleum reserve into the market as it wants. There is not the refining capacity to meet the demand. That is why gasoline prices are high.
Who bought all of the refineries?
Dutch. Do you want to confess on air?
They're owned. Well, the refinery is living in Bakersfield, a place where it is.
Coincidence.
We drill crude. The refineries are generally owned by the oil companies. So like Shell you have companies like H&P who drill the oil and then they sell it to the refineries like Shell or Chevron, and then Shell and Chevron sell that to their own gas companies, and then they sell it in bulk to like your no-name gas places like Road Pilot and stuff like
Sunoco.
that. Yeah. So some places like Sinclair that only sell bulk gasoline.
That's
right?
what it was, not Dinosaur.
Dinosaur. So and also those guys, they know that their industry is cyclical.
Yeah.
They shut down and lay off all their people every 5 years anyway, forever, for the last 35 years. It's very cyclical anyway. So they only drill when prices go over a certain dollar per barrel. When it goes under that certain price per barrel, they lay people off. Why do I know this so well? Because in Bakersfield, we're the only country, Kern County is the only county in America, or one of the few, there's some in Texas, who literally root for gas prices to go higher because the people who live here make more money.
And as far as Joe Biden being the cause of
definitely
gasoline,
the cause, 1,000%.
When Joe Biden became president, he opened up the contracts for building new oil rigs, saying that we need more production because of the pandemic. The problem with that is the time it takes to build those rigs, and the offshore rigs in particular, is so long that it's not gonna affect the market for years.
Well, and you have shortages on steel and stuff like that to even build the refinery.
So Joe Biden did everything he could as president, and so did Trump to a certain extent, to ramp up oil production, but the companies simply either can't or won't.
Why should they?
So in a nutshell,
both.
In a nutshell, Joe Biden and Trump, for that matter, other than some minor short-term stuff, have relatively no effect on price or inflation. The only thing that they do have power over is minimum wage.
I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit y'all. I thought we were gonna be talking about tire pressure this entire time, and
I still haven't learned how to inflate that tire. You're right.
I just thought that's where we were going with this, and I had some tips. People, you can go up to the limit on your sidewall of your tire. Get a little better gas mileage. I was just gonna throw a bunch of stuff like that out, but we've been talking about financial.
Speaking of inflation, I know Haas is chomping at the bit. My son gave me this huge inner tube to blow up, and I couldn't find the connector for my air compressor. I had to blow that motherfucker up like this thing, like literally today. And my son's autistic, right? So he don't give a fuck that I can't find this thing. He's like, rainbow floaty, please. Rainbow floaty, please. Rainbow floaty, please. And I'm like, I'm trying. I'm like, hours. I'm hyperventilated at the moment.
That's what daddies do.
That's what daddies do. Tim,
you put the kid in the car, you go to Walmart and you buy a fucking nozzle and you bring your ass back home. You spend $3.
Listen, here's the kid through the store. Close it out for us, Tim, because we got Haas is gonna assassinate you in a few seconds.
Before we get to the humidor, I just want to say that the Irish Swede, I'm very sorry if I butchered any of that.
Oh, he'll be back for his rebuttal, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I might have butchered modern monetary theory, but whatever.
By the way, everything Tim said was wrong.
Yeah. And listen, here's how inflation really works. See, what you got to do is you go to the gas station.
Yeah, okay.
You don't use the air pump that costs money. You just do the one where you hit the button and it gives you the free air. Right. Get yourself your own tire pressure gauge. Mm-hmm. You can buy them at any hardware or auto parts store.
Right.
You put it in, you see what it is. You look on the sidewall of your tire to see what your max PSI should be. Or in the driver's side door, there should be a little information panel too.
And then you double it.
No. You gotta go to the. If you double it, it's bad. Your tire will explode.
No, I'm trying to save double the money.
Oh.
Double the savings with double the pressure.
So you
Obviously.
you check the tire pressure with your gauge, find out where you're at, and then just inflate as appropriate. You put the thing in the little valve stem, and you just go.
Or you talk to Tom Brady, and he'll help with deflation.
Yeah, Tom Brady is an expert on deflation.
If you ever need to get the air out of your tires, we know a guy.
And that's all I have to say about that.
It's called the deflator on Tom's phone.
All right.
That was legendary. Actually, real quick, Dutch, I have some footage of Joe Biden actually speaking on the matter. Let me pull that up for you guys. I did that while Tim was talking. Thanks for vamping for me, Tim. This is from the White House.
It's a bird.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And that's, I think you guys get the message there.
He's a bird, as we knew.
I think you guys get the message. He talked about inflation and all that stuff. I won't bore you guys with the rest of the, with the clip, but just know, old Eagle One has landed.
He's called Sam the Eagle.
Before we roll into the humidor, thanks to Delvin Cox. I was on his show today. Anna is going to be on 2 shows. Anna, would you like to tell us where you're going to be in the next week and a half?
Yes, I will be on the Delvin Cox Experience. Find me there. And that's it.
No,
The other one isn't planned all the way yet.
oh, it's not okay, but she's been confirmed to go on to Ravana's show.
Oh.
I take it you just don't know the date yet.
Yes, we haven't hashed everything out yet, but it is in the works.
Anna, do you want to be on my show? It's much better than this one.
No.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
No, say no.
I have a show.
I'll be on all the shows.
Yes.
All right.
Mikey's also on my show sometimes.
Yes.
Okay, double the fun.
That's really cool. Thanks, Ravana, for inviting Anna onto your show. You never invited me one time.
It's giving hater. I don't like this for you.
Girl power.
It's the girl attorney thing.
Yeah.
They're on they got like a little sorority, like gavel, robe, gavel. I don't know what the letters would be in the lawyer Greek alphabet. But
They're gonna let you on and then
the
haze
Latin
you.
alphabet.
You'll just get hazed.
I
don't need you to threaten me with a good time.
You gotta read the Constitution. You gotta recite the Second Amendment backwards, upside down, in Clarence Thomas's voice.
Oh no!
Just use the James Earl Jones voice reanimator and type in Clarence Thomas.
I would much rather have a Billy D. Williams voice changer because Code 45 works